So today I'm the guest speaker, and then our super special guest speaker, Tim Hartstead, is my property manager, and so he knows a lot more than I do. So I'm going to give a brief, I guess if this was a cake and all the details were at the bottom, I'm going to give like the frosting level details of the story of a 4-flat that I purchased, rehabs and refinance. And then I'm going to show the numbers of owning this 4-flat in 2019 to show you guys hopefully what's behind the scenes of a 4-flat. A lot of people own these multifamily properties and everyone thinks they're making so much money and they're cash cows, but in reality they're what I call maybe home singles. Nothing's really a home run in the real estate world. They're all kind of maybe bunt singles. But it's all about kind of leveraging and building wealth for time. It's a very slow process. So I kind of like this font. I like this W, like a Weezer W or something. So NTM is an initials for net to me, which I love this phrase because everything at the end of the day is what's my net to me, right? You can do you can apply that for everything, right? At the end of the day, what am I going to make, right? What's my time cost analysis? What's the bottom line? And that's really all that really matters. So here we go, owning a 4-flat. The subject property is 3632 South Parnell. Here's the old listing sheet from 2015. It was a REO bank sale. Wow, remember those words? That was only 5 years ago, but all this stuff happened. So it was listed at $224,900. And as soon as it came on the market, I gave them an offer. It was probably like 125, and it looks like I purchased it for 151. I think it took about 6 or 7 months to purchase this property, but I got it at the price I wanted. And if you notice here, sold by non-member. That's because as a buyer of properties, I usually would go in and say, I'm a real estate agent, but I'm going to forfeit my commission for you, Mr. Listing Agent or Mrs. Listing Agent. So you guys can earn, double the amount of the commission if you sell to me. So kind of as an incentive for them to be friendly and give me the deal. I'd always give up my commission. And they always appreciated that and made it a simple transaction. So here are the details. Okay, look at that. I bought it for $151,000 on December 11th, 2015. With the purchase, when I closed on it, I also got a $200,000 rehab loan from the bank. So 151 plus 200,000, 20% down was a total of $351,000 price at the closing table. I refinanced it almost a year later, September 13th. It had appraised value of $500,000. And when you do a refi with cash back, they'll give you 75% of the loan to value ratio, which equals $375,000. So I paid off with that $375,000. We paid off the $350,000 loan, and I was able to cash out $25,000. So this was not a successful, what they call BRRRRRR, buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat, because I still have money in the deal. So I still have about $45,000 left. Right now, my monthly principal, interest, and taxes, PIT, P-I-T, is $25.90, and that's because I have a interest rate of 5.25%, and the rate expires on July 7th, which I'm super happy about. When you get these commercial, so this is a 4-flat, and I do not own this in my name. So if I own this in my name, I would be at a residential mortgage, which would probably be like around 3.5 at a 30-year arm. But since I own multiple properties, I don't, or even if I own one property, I don't think I'd want the liability of owning a property in my name. And so this is owned in an LLC's name, which means it has to get a commercial loan. So I have a commercial loan on this with Lakeside Bank. And when you get these commercial loans, they balloon after 5 years. And over those 5-year periods, they have a prepayment penalty. So if you want to refinance or sell the property, they have escalating prepayment penalties. If you try to sell in the first year, it's 3% of the loan. So, it's a significant amount of money if I tried to refinance prior to July 7th, because I would need to pay a large prepayment penalty. That's called the PPP. It's advanced stuff. Maybe I'm going down layer in the cake. So here's some notes. So it took a year to rehab. So one of the things I learned on this one is that I never factor in the carry costs, and I didn't really still in this presentation I didn't factor in those carry costs. But the carry costs, for 12 months paying the mortgage and everything with no income coming in is really a killer. And there was, I think, 2 people in this property we had to evict, and that also took time. So just that time just destroys the bottom line, especially if you have nothing coming in. And when I show you the 2019 numbers, you'll notice that it's been pretty boring for 2019. There was no CapEx. That basically means capital expenditures. So I know next year we probably need to put a new roof on this property, so it's going to cost probably $12,000. If we need a new siding, it's probably another $10,000. So those things will also are not reflected in my 2019 numbers, but will be reflected in maybe 2020, 2021, which means that there'll be probably a negative cash flow on this property for the next couple of years. So here's the snapshot of the numbers I have to show you. So the total rent and income we collected was just under $50,000, and that's it. We didn't pay any expenses, so we just made all that money. That'd be nice. Oh, there we go. Not include. Here's the expenses. Our expenses on this property were $46,503, which means the net income for the year made $3,035 on this property for 2019. So, like I said at the beginning, right? These are single. You're not gonna buy a 4-flat and retire. If you didn't have mortgage, maybe after 20 years, maybe you could, but probably not. And that's why, just kind of a caveat here, that's why cap rates are kind of bogus. If I was really going to sell this building, I would say, oh, the total rent is $50,000, but the expenses are more like 30%. The expenses are, just $15,000, not $46,000. So in reality, it's don't go off cap rates on these 4 flats.
Well, cap rate, just to chime in a little bit, Nick, cap rate technically should be off of cash buy, the way that it's supposed to be. So you're including your
mortgage. Oh, that's right. I didn't include. That's right.
So,
it's you're right. I need to subtract the
mortgage payments.
The the $17,000 in mortgage payments. You're right. Thanks, Tim. I did this late last night. That's why I have Tim here, because I'm not that smart. Thanks, Tim.
Uh-huh.
And now I'm going to show you the P&L statement. It's called the cash flow statement from AppFolio. AppFolio is a property management software that we use to look at all the data. And you'll notice here it includes every investor's favorite word, depreciation. And this is where taxes come into play. And maybe I'll get that stimulus check because I'm showing all these negative balances. So basically, to get depreciation, you divide your building's value by 27.5, which is the IRS's number for prescribed as useful life of properties. And so based on that number, my accountant figures this property is worth $419,000. All right, so now I'm going to show you can you guys see this now?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so the AppFolio thing popped up?
Yep,
okay. So here it again, this is 2019. All these numbers, Tim and our bookkeeper popped in. So we collected $48,000 in rent, only $250 in pet fees, only $36 in late fees, and $400 in move-in fees. So there's a little opportunity here, right, to make some more cash. We spent $38 in advertising, $2,400 on janitorial, and that essentially is we pay $200 a month to our cleaner. They come twice a month and clean out all the common areas. Property insurance is $2,300. I got accounting, management fees, which are roughly about 5% of the total rent. Here's the mortgage interest. Thanks, Tim. So I need to subtract the $17,000.
Mm-hmm.
We spent $285 in HVAC. We only had one turnover, and that one turnover cost $880. That's good. And then you got your City of Chicago taxes, gas, water, and here's the favorite term here, depreciation, which basically means, I showed originally the cash flow was $3,000, but once you take depreciation and subtract out rents that were received in December, but for January, on books, this property shows a net income of a loss of negative $5,615. And then here's that cash flow number I was talking about before. So Tim Harstead, the property manager to the Stars, is there anything you want to share before we open it up for questions?
No. The one thing I was curious what you spent $38 on. So it was before I was there, so I had to look it up. You guys bought signs. You guys bought signs or something. I don't know.
$38 on payment
For
to card.
signs.
Yeah, we bought a sign for the building. Yeah. That's some good marketing dollars spent. Yeah.
There you go. No, it's yeah. I mean, it's just a matter of making sure you're keeping up with rents and stuff like that. The opportunity. So a couple things that we've switched a little bit since I took over. Pet fees. The way that they were doing them before was a move-in pet fee, which is nice, sort of. You get the $250 one time, but if that tenant stays there for 10 years, that's all you ever get. So we switched to a monthly pet fee. So say it's 25 or 30 a month. Now, if you have two people in there with pets that stay for 5 years, you're making that $300 a year off of each of them. And I guess late fees are sort of a double-edged sword. I mean, they're good to get. They're good profit if you get them, but at the same time, I'd rather have tenants that are paying. So that's a good, you don't want to see those get too high. But yeah, that's about it. I'll open it up to questions.
Yeah, so a nice boring here. But like I said too, right, if so the cash flow was $3,000, but if I had to put a new roof on this sucker, that's $12,000 right there. So I really would have been down, $9,000 and then plus depreciation. So you got to really watch out for the turnover. Luckily we had four people in the property, all paying rent all 12 months. Looks like we only had one turnover, but it's still, I think they left in like March and a new person came in April. So $880 on turnover is not bad, but imagine if you have 4 turnovers, that's 880 times 4. Or if the property is in not as great condition, it's going to cost a little bit more. So yeah, keeping those tenants in the property and keeping those tenants happy and paying rent is really, really helps the bottom line. So
Nick, what do you mean by turnover?
Turnover is when a tenant leaves. So a tenant leaves in June, and then they leave the apartment, and then you have to go into the apartment and clean it, paint it, maybe fix some appliances, fix some tiles and whatnot, and that's turnover. And in addition to doing the repairs, you might also gonna have to pay a realtor a commission to bring in a new tenant. So yeah, having a tenant leave, especially in a 4-unit, is tough, and that's why owning these buildings, it's the old term of pinching the pennies is so important, because you do have your income when you can kind of tweak it a little bit, like Tim said, with the pet fees and late fees. But in reality, you have most control over your expenses. So if you really pay attention to your expenses and get all those quotes, that really makes a difference.
Yeah. And the other thing I'll add to that is, with pinching the penny is preventative maintenance. Making sure that you're painting the porches every couple of years, making sure, if it's a flat roof, you're supposed to put the silver paint on those every couple of years. And instead of, that's how you avoid, that's how you get a roof to last 20 or 30 years versus lasting 10 or 15 and getting beat up. So, I mean, those are a lot smaller costs that you could take. I just had another client, not Nick, asked me why his HVAC keeps having issues. And he told me that the one at his house, he pays like $300 a year to get serviced, and he never has any issues with it. And I asked him, because we just took over the property, I go, well, when's the last time you had it cleaned and serviced? He's like, never. And that's your answer. Preventative maintenance is going to save you a lot. It costs you a little bit up front, but it's going to save you a lot in the long run.
That's true, yeah.
Nick, this is Tosh. I have a question on the rehab loan and the refinance.
Yeah.
So when the bank looks at that for the LLC, is it primarily on the criteria of the LLC's tax returns? Like the income, like when of course they're looking at the appraisal and, but if there's no tenants and rental income, do you need to have income in your LLC to support that? those numbers?
Yeah. So when I bought the building at 151 with a $200,000 rehab loan, it was essentially an empty building with I think one or two people kind of squatting. And so, yeah, it's a commercial loan. And for the most part, they will look at, rent coming in. And since there was no rent coming in, then they're going to loan based on the individual.
The LLCs, right. The LLCs.
Yeah.
Right. And then
And it's more so the individual, because even if it's an LLC, it's still the individual. So they needed to, run my credit.
the members of the LLC, right? Okay. So
Yeah. And then we had to personally guarantee, it's still a personally guaranteed loan.
okay.
And we still had to have income to support paying the mortgage.
And then for the refinance, even if it's rented and the property value's gone up, the income is still a big factor.
With the refinance, it's a 4-unit, so I think it'd be different if it was a 4-unit versus like a 8-unit.
Mm-hmm.
But they take the income into effect. But for the most part, with the appraisal, it's more like a comparative analysis appraisal.
Nick, you want to let Sully jump in since he does these loans?
Oh yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so the thing the bank's always going to look at is if the property can sustain itself as far as cover its own debt service coverage. So like in this situation where he's collecting, his monthly mortgage payment is roughly $2,600, but he's collecting, over $3,000 or $4,000, and it covers it. So the bank's going to look at it as like, as long as the property could stand on its own. And when you're buying it, like in a situation like this, where it's a rehab loan, then we look at the individual, like, is the individual going to be able to carry this while this rehab is going on and cover its own expenses because there's no income coming in from that property. So that's when they look at it from a global aspect. But ultimately, which I'm sure Nick will tell you, he probably had to provide, hey, this is what I'm anticipating my rents are going to be when I'm completed. 12 months from now, I'll be able to get $1,500 per unit or whatever it is. And they're going to go off of projections too. So if you have a history of doing this and you have the background and your tax returns support that, showing, hey, past 2 or 3 years, I have 4 other rental properties. So this is just kind of like, this is the business that I'm in. The bank looks at all that. If it's your first one, it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge. So you better make sure you have all your stuff lined up and all your homework and a plan in place. And having a guy like Tim, who you can convert, saying, hey, I'm going to have a property manager. I'm a realtor, but I'm going to have a property manager running it. That also looks favorable in the bank's eyes because you have outsourced all of your, all of the concerns.
Okay, so even if the LLC has just a singular property in it and it's relatively new, like only a year old, they're probably going to get the personal.
Yeah,
income.
most LLCs, like for each property, you created like as you're buying it. Like as you buy it, you put your name as a purchaser and or assignee, and then in the meantime, you and your attorneys get a new LLC going. So that LLC obviously will have no prior income because it's a new entity. So that's when the bank is going to look at your global income and to see like, if it's going to take 6 months, or even if you buy something that's already up and running, they're going to look at the history and the fact that you're a realtor and you work with rentals and things like that is going to be a plus for the bank because they can see that you're, knowledgeable in the space. So the new entity is going to have zero income because it's new for that property, but they'll look at globally your income and expenses for you, or if you have partners as well.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. Okay.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So I bought this property, I put it in the buyer. I put the buyer, my name and or a sign. And then about a week before we're going to close on the property, then I formed the LLC. And then I formed the LLC, just 3632 South Parnell LLC. So really, yeah, the LLC means nothing. And a reason too, like a bank like this, I have a relationship with, but it takes time to build a relationship. So the first time I bought a property, it was a new experience. It was my first building. I had to put 30% down and I had to give more guarantees. And so the more you do, the easier it is.
Having a background of yourself, like a bio, is really important when you're going to talk to a bank. Because if you tell them, here's my experience, here's what I've done in the past. I work with, I'm a realtor, so I generate income from that, but I also work with renters, so I'm able to rent apartments out, or condos or whatever, or homes. Having a bio on you when you're meeting a bank for the first time is really important because that bio is going to give an understanding of the bank's risk factor. You know what I mean? Your history, what you've done, things that they're not going to be able to see on the tax returns. You should put into like a little paragraph about yourself. So when the bank meets you and they're going to be asking you questions, they're really just diving into your life to see what your experience is. If you can create a little biography about yourself, that would help.
That's a great, yeah, that's awesome. And too, like, that's why you want to meet with the banker too. So before you start getting these loans, and if you're really interested in purchasing properties, develop relationships with mortgage lenders. And so you already have that relationship. And so when that mortgage lender goes in front of the committee, they can say, hey, I've had lunch with this investor 3 or 4 times. I know his business, he's got a business plan. He's a realtor, he's got experience. I think we should approve this loan. So yeah, everything boils down to personal relationships. That's great advice though. Yeah. That was a good question. I'll leave any other questions on our little deal here, either about the deal itself or the numbers from the P&L.
Nick, I have a question. It's a little out of subject.
I'm ready.
I have a buyer. She's a caregiver. She makes about $36,000 a year. She has a good credit, and she owns a condo worth about $150,000 or paid off. So that's the good part. The bad part is she wants to move to a 3-flat, buy a 3-flat, so she can have an investment and also live in one of the unit. She has $40,000, 10% of the deal. And I'm just trying to find a way to get her finance to be creative. I don't know if you have any suggestion, because she doesn't want to sell the condo that is paid off.
Why does she? What?
Go ahead.
Sorry, she has good credit. She doesn't have a mortgage currently on the other condo, so it's irrelevant. Why are we being creative? She has 10% down. What's the issue, I guess?
The $36,000 that she makes, I believe it doesn't qualify her for $400,000 purchase. So
I can let Sully answer. I mean, she could do a equity pledge. So if she owns that condo outright, she could pledge the equity for that condo and use it as a down payment for the 3-flat.
Yeah, is the down payment the issue, or the fact that she only shows $36,000 in income and she can't qualify for the mortgage issue?
Yeah, it's a mostly down payment, because for 3-flat, I mean, I was thinking of a bridge loan just to give the condo as a collateral, because she wants to rent it, but we cannot.
No, the bridge loan is only if you're going to sell the property. So if she has no intentions of selling the condo, then a bridge loan is not going to work. You can do a cash out refinance because the rates are low and just take all the money from the condo. And then is she planning on renting the condo after the fact?
Yes.
Yeah, I would, since it's still currently her primary residence and the rates are super low, you should take the cash out and get a 30-year fixed at like in the mid-3s and just use that money as your down payment.
I don't know if we can use the rent to add to her income, because she's not the experienced landlord.
You should be able to.
Yeah, if you have your client come into an agreement where you're going to be her management, and Tim can put the management agreement together, I think, with a potential lease, I think that would help, because it's not like she's going to rent it out of herself. She's hired Kale Realty to put it together, so that would probably be in her benefit to get an agreement like that in place when she applies for that loan.
So you think there is a way to put the financing together?
I mean, if she's going to be a residential loan, one of our residential partners that we've worked with in the past would be your first call to ask them, because, with a guaranteed rate or whomever else that we work with, I would call them up and have them structure, make sure that there's no other hurdles, because you don't want to spend so much time focusing on one hurdle and then there's multiple other little hurdles. You want to get the whole picture up front. Like if there's a down payment issue, then you got to pull equity from that. If there's a income issue, then we need to come up with a projected plan to rent that out, and make sure the property that you find might have to already be 2 units rented. I don't know. You should start with have her meet with the lender to make sure that what are the exact hurdles.
I think there is 2 issues. The 10% down, $40,000 for $400,000 to the flat. It
Okay.
would be a little low, and then the 36,000 doesn't leave her that much
Income.
for the mortgages.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I specifically do commercial stuff, but I'll answer any questions. But this is probably a good, you can have them call me, or put them in touch with who do we work with as far as
Yeah, Joel at Guaranteed Rate. Yeah.
Yeah, because he might say it might be better to pull more money out of the condo and put 20% down toward PMI. So he's going to have a lot of different options and things like that. And he's going to let you know what's going to be qualified income. If the property that you're selling them already has 2 tenants already in there and the third is vacant, she's going to move into one, then they might be able to use those 2 leases as income. So there's going to be a lot of, I would start with Joel and just, reach out to him. That's my advice.
So you're suggesting that to get the cash out from the condo refi, cash out, but she has another mortgage too.
I honestly, I was gonna say, I would honestly have like Sully's saying, have her talk to Joel, or if you have another lender. But I mean, the lenders I work with do that all the time for me, where someone's buying a 3 flat that's way out of what would be their price range, but since it's a 3 flat, we're using the income of the 3 flat to do it. And because she's going to be living in one, you should be able to do an FHA or even a 5% down conventional as a possibility. So there's definitely some options, but I would give it to the lenders because they're going to be able to do most creative, and figure it out.
Okay, that's good. Sounds good. Thank you.
Sorry, guys. I don't mean to jump in.
No, it's awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you're here. No, sir. I would have given bad advice. Just take the money from a loan shark.
Oh yeah.
Take 100,000 and put it on black, and then see what happens.
If you win, you have 50%.
Yeah.
I got a quick question. Tim H., how have you been handling residents not paying rent?
You've been actually pretty good. I mean, we're at about 75 in total right now. But we have a lot of like C and D class stuff that we manage. Like the like Bridgeport portfolio, the higher end stuff's, closer to 90% already in. But what I'm doing is working with people, helping them. I mean, I have shown more people the unemployment site and how to apply, and the sites for like rental assistance and how to apply, and helping them, so that's just, be on your tenant's team is the way to work it. If you're fighting with your tenant, it's not going to be good. If you're open and the tenant's able to come to you and say, hey, I'm having this issue, and you can go, all right, cool, let's go to King Center, let's go fill out this form, I'll give you your 5-day notice, they'll give us the check. We just got a $3,000 check from one of our tenants from some housing company or whatever. I mean, there's a bunch of programs out there. You just have to help them apply and find it.
Are you still sending notices?
No, well, not really, because they're not enforceable, and you can technically get in trouble for even sending them on the wrong property. But the other option, the only ones I am sending is some of these programs require that they have a 5-day notice. So we're giving them to them, but like the tenants are asking us for the 5-day notice. That's like the only time.
But you're just documenting that they're late on the rent.
Was it?
Are you documenting it?
Yeah, but we're waiving late fees and it's all documented, but it's sort of just a wait and see. Work with them, see why they're, we're still asking them where the rent is, what's going on, getting feedback from them, and just having a dialogue is really the biggest thing.
Cool.
And that's the nice thing about the property management software. Everything is tracked.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. Unless we got any other questions, 11:34. We'll leave it at that. It was pretty successful. I'm glad Tim and Sully were here to answer the questions that I did not know or have any information. So you guys gave some great insight. Just again, Tim does property management. So if you have clients or you need help with this stuff, now's a good time to hire a professional to manage your property. If you are looking for a commercial loan, reach out to Sully. He'll hook you up, huh?
Yeah, sure.
He knows the stuff.
Give me a call anytime you guys need anything.
Nick,
Even
what
for
is,
just questions and stuff. So
Nick, what is the name of that property management software?
Oh, it's called AppFolio.
Appfolio. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, this is what it looks like. Here's just the this is the
hey
cash flow
Tim,
management.
I have a question for you. So like, if I manage one of my own, and I think I've asked you this before and I forget, but like if I manage one of my own rentals on my own, I can't use this software, right? The Appfolio, unless I'm like signed in with like management and
Yeah,
hired
so
you guys on,
they
right?
have them. They're the minimum. Like if you're trying to sign up for them, you have to have at least 50 doors for them to take you on.
Oh
as a
yeah,
client.
that's right. That's right.
Oh, so I would, but there's actually free options. There's a really great one called Nest Egg. Nestegg.rent or something. Nestegg. We just Nest. What's it called? Nest Egg.
It's called Nest Egg, yeah. The other one that I see a lot of people use is Rently. It's like a free one for like if you only have a few units.
Yeah, nestegg.rent. Yeah, it's free, and then they make their money basically. So you use their back-end software, but they make their money if you like. Let's say your tenant has a leaky toilet, and then you would call Nest Egg, and then Nest Egg would send out a handyman to fix the leaky toilet, and then Nest Egg gets a percentage of that. So they try to make.
But it's free.
It's free for you, the property manager.
I have
The
like
owner,
my own
yeah.
Excel. I have my own Excel worksheets, and I mean they're great. I've gotten really comfortable using them, but it'd be nice to have a more formal.
Yeah, this is
Hey,
a
guys.
good step up.
So
Hey, guys.
nestegg.rent. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Hey guys, just to add to the conversation, Cozy is one that I've used for one-off rentals. I don't know if anyone else has tried it, but Cozy's been pretty good just for one-offs. And then
Kozi.
no,
COZI.
COZY.
COZY.
Yeah, it's pretty intuitive and it's better for one-off properties. It's been pretty good so far for that one rental.
And I think they
Yeah,
have like the rental source where like the tenants can pay directly through their website and they collect. It takes like 2 or 3 days. You'll get a notice like, hey, you collected your rent. We've collected the rent on this unit. And then like 2 or 3 days, that money gets deposited in your account. And the way Cozy makes their money is they basically hold on to that money for a few days and then they invest it.
Oh, yeah. They hold on for a day. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, like Robinhood, right?
They
So
say,
Yeah.
they say they don't invest it and it's just an administrative thing, but they're probably really invested in it. But
no, or like the high yield savings account. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it's probably a savings or something.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I would recommend this stuff over. That's like the next level up from Excel spreadsheet to get some sort of software because you can track a little bit better. But nothing wrong with the spreadsheet. I like the Google Docs. Never lose them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not Excel. Google Docs. Yeah. Cool. All right. Thanks everyone. I hope you all stay warm and have a great weekend.
All right.
All right, guys. Have a good
Thanks,
one.
guys.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Thanks everybody. Thanks for joining us.